Alright, we're about to take a deep dive into a realm of fire, ice, and ultimately eternal consequence. This is the Islamic concept of Jahannam, or hell, and we're going to walk through the entire journey as it's described in the sources. Let's get right into it. Now, I want you to forget what you think you know about how the world ends. According to this narrative, it doesn't start with a bang or a whimper. It starts with a sound. A single, absolutely terrifying sound coming from Makkah that's going to shake the entire planet to its core. It's the very first note in the symphony of the end times. So what happens after that final deafening sound fades into silence? Well, that's what we're exploring right now. The cataclysmic end of, well, everything. And the unbelievably bewildering moment when all of humanity is brought back. See, it all unfolds in a really precise, dramatic order.
When all of humanity is brought
you have one
back.
trumpet blast that brings about this cosmic death for everyone and everything. Then, there's this weird period of waiting. 40 units of something. Time has stopped. And then, a second blast shatters that silence. The graves burst open, and it all begins again. I mean, can you even picture it? Every human being who has ever lived, all rising from the dust at the exact same moment, it turns into pure dread. Angels descend, and they start hurting all these resurrected souls like a massive, terrified flock of sheep. And their destination? A huge, empty plain, where they are about to face the longest, most agonizing wait of their entire existence. Okay, so now the wait begins. This is an immense period of just standing. Standing and waiting under a scorching sun, which is described as being so close it feels like it's resting right on top of their heads. Let that number sink in. 50,000 years. They will stand there and wait. The anticipation is so agonizing that the physical and psychological torment is really just a warm-up for what's coming next. This is suffering before the sentence has even been handed down. But here's the thing. The suffering isn't the same for everybody. It's a direct reflection of your life's deeds. And it's visualized in this really visceral way by the depth of your own sweat. For some, it's just up to their ankles, a minor annoyance. For others, though, it's a rising flood that will literally drown them in their own past sins. Can you imagine being so tormented by waiting that you would actually prefer to face hell itself just to make the waiting stop? That's the level of desperation that grips people. They actually start begging, pleading for the judgment to just begin, no matter the outcome. And then, after 50,000 years, it's over. The wait is over. But it's not a verdict that shows up. It's Jahannam itself. It's described as a living, breathing entity, roaring as it's brought out to put all of humanity through one final, ultimate test. The scale described here is just, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Jahannam is this roaring beast, so immensely powerful that it takes 70,000 angels to pull each one of its 70,000 chains. And even then, they can barely contain its rage. And so, now we come to it, the final test. It's a bridge called As-Sirat, and it is stretched tight over the raging fires of hell. This is the only way forward, and every single soul, no exceptions, has to try and cross it. But when I say bridge, don't picture something made of wood or steel. This thing is described as being thinner than a human hair and sharper than a sword. It's a seemingly impossible path designed to physically separate the righteous from the wicked. So how in the world do you cross something like that? Well, it's not about balance or physical skill. It's all about spiritual light. The more good you did in your life, the brighter your light shines, and it illuminates the path for you, helping you cross quickly. But for those who lived in darkness, the bridge is an invisible razor's edge, and inevitably, they stumble, they slip, and they fall into the abyss below. And as billions fall, Jahannam is said to roar with this insatiable hunger. The source even says that God himself will ask it, "Are you full?" And it will just cry out for more. It's a terrifying picture of its endless capacity for punishment. So what is this place, Jahannam? It's not just one big pit of fire. However, the sources actually describe a complex 7-layered prison, and each level is reserved for a very specific type of sinner. So here you can see the hierarchy of hell. There are 7 distinct levels, each with its own unique punishments that are tailored to a specific category of sin. And the deeper you go, the worse the torment gets, with the absolute lowest, darkest pit, Hawiyah, reserved for the hypocrites. And the punishments inside? They're designed to be total, attacking every single one of your senses. A fire that's 70 times hotter than anything on Earth.
A piercing, skin-shattering cold that's said to be just as painful as the fire. There's torturous food, boiling liquids, and this endless cycle where their skin is burned away and then instantly regenerated, just so the suffering never ever has a chance to end. So, why? Why this incredibly detailed, terrifying description of fire and damnation? Well, because at its very core, the story of Jahannam isn't really just about the end of the world. It's about the choices that you and I are making every single day of our lives. And the odds, according to the source material, well, they're pretty sobering to say the least. There's a prophetic tradition that states for every 1,000 people who stand for judgment, only one will be saved. That's a really stark, powerful way to frame the weight of our actions. But here's what might be the most crucial point of this whole thing. The physical pain, the fire, the cold, that's not the worst part. The ultimate punishment is a spiritual one. It's being eternally separated from God, being veiled from His presence and denied His mercy forever. And that spiritual anguish is said to be far, far worse than any fire. And that's what brings this entire cosmic story right down to this very moment. It's meant to be a wake-up call. You know, we all say later. Later I'll be a better person. Later I'll pray. Later I'll change. But the whole narrative poses this really piercing question. What if later never comes? And really, that's what this entire explainer boils down to. The story of Jahannam, from that very first trumpet blast to the final fiery pit, isn't just a theological map of the afterlife. It's a mirror, meant to reflect our own lives right now. It's a story about cause and effect, about action and consequence, on the most ultimate scale you can imagine. And it ends not with a closed door, but with an open choice that belongs to every single one of us. So the real question isn't just about what this story means. It's about what this idea of final accountability means to you.